Hi, welcome to another Canto Roboflow training movie. In this training movie, we are going to take a closer look at tab-delimited text files. When metadata is entered in a tab-delimited text file, well, actually in an Excel file, then you can export this as tab-delimited text. In many cases, this goes very well. But there is one example where you have to be a little bit careful. And that is when in your Excel you entered carriage returns in the field themselves. Because then your tab-delimited text file looks something like this. You seem to have all the columns here, and then suddenly in row 2 it starts with the real values. These are tab characters, so it looks like this, but that's your tabulation. And then suddenly a normal end of line is a carriage return line feed, but suddenly there are these pieces with line feed, line feed, line feed, line feed, and doesn't seem to have the tab character anymore. That is because this is actually the content of one field, and then after a while it finds another tab character, and then it goes to next field, etc., etc. And then here, suddenly here is only line 2 starting. How can you import this into Cumulus? This is a very difficult format to read. So to fix this problem, you can create a workflow, and in this workflow we look at a folder where we drop that kind of file in, and we have a target folder where we're going to write the result file without these line feeds, without killing the columns. How do we do that in the workflow? Well, we start by creating the target folder. If it doesn't exist yet, we start with creating the target file, and we're first storing the file name to know that in the target folder we are going to recreate that same file. Just to be sure, we're first deleting it before creating it, to make sure that there's nothing left from previous exports. And then we read the text file. It's store text file as text. This function has been improved in version 10.1.17, so to run and solve this specific problem, you need to run at least 10.1.17 of Roboflow. This version does still work in Cumulus 9.2, but it has to be implemented separately if it's not a more recent Cumulus 10.1.17 or more recent version. What I do then is I replace the actual carriage return by some text, and I just spelled it out, carriage return line feed. So I want to make sure that my real carriage return line feeds, my end of lines, are not thrown away or lost. So I'm replacing by finding them this way and replacing them with this pure text value. And I'm storing this inside the same text variable. The next thing I'm doing is I'm also picking up the carriage return, because if this file comes from a Mac, the end of the line will not be carriage return line feed, but just carriage return. So I'm doing only carriage return as well. I'm replacing it in the text. So now there are no real carriage returns or carriage return line feeds in there. Only tab characters that separate the columns and the bad line feeds, the LFs. So what we do with that is we look them up and we replace them by a space character. And then we say bad text becomes good text. So now we have a good text, and in that good text, now we are looking for carriage return line feed text to put back the real carriage return, and we do the same with the carriage return here, only carriage return will be replaced by a real carriage return if there's any. And then finally, we're writing this file to the good text to that new file that we created in that target folder. So if we have a look, this is our bad Excel, which was exported to tab limited text, and now I'm dropping this here into the drop folder, and my workflow could be running on an interval, a time interval. I'm starting it manually. I just say start. In the log we can see that it found the file and processed it. So now we are going to have, we see that it's gone, and we're going to have a look in the target folder, and there it is. And if we look inside, now we can see, instead of this completely broken file, we have a nice fixed file with the different columns. So should we open this in Excel again, it would nicely have this separated in the 20 columns that this specific file has. And now this file is ready to, for instance, process in another workflow where we are looking for this metadata and importing it. So this was another solution from Canto Roboflow. Thank you for joining, and if you have any questions, let me know.